Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and then use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Thursday, Cubs fans out there, as we get ready for the winter meeting starting next week. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera. Tick-tock, we're into December, and the question is, will it be a long December or will it be a December to remember? And it's all up to Jed Hoyer at this point. Listen, I don't know how many times we can start the podcast this way, but here we go.
Yeah, I mean,
when are they going to do something?
I'm waiting for Stucky to just, you know how when we do when you say the DraftKings line every show, like it gets embedded in your brain to you just know how to say it now. I'm waiting for you to just have the same start of the show and see if you don't even need to memorize it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it has been different in every day, but it's along the same lines.
we should have like a tick, 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 like a 60 minutes type sound as we wait every time for something to finally happen. Here's what I think. Ryan is headed. You leave Sunday, and then you get there in San Diego. Beautiful, by the way. What a gig!
You get to go to the West Coast in December.
Yeah.
Sunny at 75, Ryan.
It's the bomb. San Diego is a lot of fun too.
For work, man. For work.
I don't care.
Are you staying in the hotel? Do you know where is your hotel in the hotel where the stuff is going on?
I don't think so, but it's I'm pretty sure we're close. So
man, there's so many good
run right over there.
So many good places in San Diego that gas lamp or gaslight, whatever it's called.
I think it's called gas lamp.
Gas lamp. Yeah, it's a really nice area. I do have one place I want you to go while you're there. We went on vacation there for like a long weekend, maybe 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. The Donut Bar. I looked up like top donut places in America. This place was solid. It was up there with Do-Right. Let me tell you, I got my Cubs hat on, and I sort of unlocked my jaw there a little bit.
Yeah, I could tell.
I got after that one, and I'll tell you that it's worth a stop, or it's worth a cab ride or a Uber if you're looking into it. That would be a suggestion of mine. Plenty of places to get a drink.
They should get that. You should get that picture framed and hung at the CHGO office because it's very on brand for you.
Put it in the Art Institute.
And the Art Institute. That's a good spot too.
They have angel wings on a brick wall outside that you could stand in front of too, Ryan. Like that, always good for your Instagram.
They should take that picture, hang it in that conference room that's in the office. Just put it right there, right next to that whiteboard that has all the writing that I can't read because it's in
Donut Bar
in black marker or whatever.
Right, if you're talking food, I gotta jump in.
Okay, well here I'm just going to tell you. We learned we were there for like 4 days. We hit it twice in the morning. The first time we went there, and they were out of a bunch of donuts because after 10 o'clock, the people have really picked through it. So don't wait too long. Now the other option is if you have time, you go to Coronado Island, and they have what's that Hotel Coronado? They have a Sunday brunch where they actually have a build your own donut. Like fountain bar, like you pick out the donut, you pick the frosting, the icing, the dots, whatever. The donuts aren't as good as the donut bar, but the experience is.
I've been to Coronado Island.
Yeah, top notch.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
All right, well, two things. One, you got to go to the taco stand and get carne asada fries.
Ooh,
think nachos, but instead of chips, delicious French fries.
How did I miss that? Is that new?
It's the most amazing thing in the world. Huh. And the taco stand, I think there's multiple locations. It's unreal. I absolutely love it. Now, and then secondly,
y'all making me so hungry, man.
I know. Well, I haven't eaten lunch because I did this Chicago Sports Podcast, and now I'm doing this, and you guys gave me 700 graphics to do, so I haven't eaten. No big deal.
Blame Luke.
The other thing, though, all blame on Luke. And this is literally the best thing about San Diego. By far, there's a little town outside of San Diego called Cardiff, and there's a place in Cardiff called the Seaside Market. They have it's a tri-tip, burgundy pepper tri-tip.
Ooh,
they call it Cardiff crack. It's amazing. Now there's a stand at Petco So obviously it's off season here. So I don't know where they get it. My wife shipped me a couple of these for me to grill this summer. They're a little pricey to grill. I did a good job. I was amazed. It was very easy to do.
Did you follow? Were there specific instructions on how to grill it?
Yeah, there's actually there's a how to grill section right here on the website. I mean, there's videos. It's amazing. I'm telling you, Cardiff crack. It's
all right.
The best. Okay, I'll get out of the way now. Let's talk about nothing happening.
I'll send you the donut bar. The taco joint sounds like an easy one. Tri-tip sounds expensive. I don't know.
I mean, you get a sandwich though. They're amazing.
A sandwich of tri-tip.
Yeah. They slice it up, make it a little sandwich.
Ryan, if you get a big enough piece of luggage, I could squeeze into that and just go there because, man, that sounds like a trip right now. I have another idea for Ryan that, not food related. I think we need Ryan to go there and break his journalistic integrity and stir some things up. Just start throwing out the fake news around the lobby and get guys scrambling around so we get some deals made. I'm not above. I watched the show called The Crown about, the Queen and all that stuff. And Martin Bashir of BBC once got a big interview with Princess Diana about the divorce and all that stuff. And he lied to her about the details of what was going on to get the lock. We might have to do something drastic like this, Ryan. Cody and I might have to start just spitting you total garbage information about deals that other teams are making just to get light a fire under Jed here.
We could be the new version of Bob Nightingale, like the new joke. You know what I mean? The new baseball Twitter joke. That
was harsh, Cody. That was harsh.
What's the phrase you always use, Luke? It's
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. We should put that on a shirt, man.
The rules of journalism. Number one, right there. That should be a top one.
Mike Dub says, start the rumor that Cash Considerations is at the meeting and looking for his next team.
Yes. Mike Dubs gets it. He totally gets it.
Man.
I wasn't trying to slander Bob Nightingale. I'm just saying, it's a long, outstanding joke on baseball Twitter. We could just take it to another level. We could.
Yeah. Well, I might have to because there's nothing going on, and we talked about Jeff passing yesterday.
Yeah.
Discussing how winter meetings should heat some things up, and I guess we're just looking forward to that because it's been a bunch of nothing for a month now. Yeah, going on a month now, right? It's been a whole month of nothing.
What you talking about, Ryan? Matthew Boyd re-signed with the Tigers today, man.
Mike Brasso re-signed with the Brewers too. That's big time news,
guys. It's not. And Ryan, sorry to interrupt. It's not just an off season that's been nothing. The trade deadline was nothing. So literally, we've had just 8 months of nothing.
But just anticipation. It's
that better word.
The trade deadline came. I remember you guys were on that day. You guys were on doing it for an hour and a half, just waiting just in case something happened, and then nothing. It got to 5 o'clock, and it was dead. It was dead, and then Ken Rosenthal put out that tweet. Was it Wilson Contreras is not going to be traded or something like that? Yeah. And we're okay, there we go. It was that's the feeling I'm getting right now, and I don't think it's not going to end the same way. I don't think, but it. Right now, it's just full on anticipation for, hopefully not nothing. We're on the one side of it. It's just all anticipation now. We need the shoe to drop. We just need the shoe to drop.
Yeah, here's a perfect example was, you mentioned Bob Nightingale, Cody, and it's he's talking about Christian Vasquez to the Cubs really picking up steam. So now everybody's running with that on Twitter, the former Astros catcher, and then the Astros possibly doing the opposite and signing Wilson Contreras. Vasquez obviously doesn't power the needle forward for the Cubs. It's not going to sell extra tickets to Cubs convention, but it wouldn't be a bad move. I just don't want it to be the first move. I don't want it to be the first one. I want that to come after a couple big deals and then they add Vasquez. So what do you think about him as a catcher? I mean, it does seem like that's the type of guy they're looking for.
Right.
Until Amaya or whoever might be the next catcher after that.
Right. I mean, former Red Sox, you know how this team is, or this front office is with former Red Sox. That's why Bogarts has kind of like been a trending name the last 48 hours. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's, you know, I think it'd be a very nice platoon with Yan Gomes, right? Like, you know, I was looking at his numbers this morning. You know, 1.6 F4 last year, hit like 274. His slugging was like 399, so it's not like he's hitting doubles and triples or homers a lot, but you know, still hits for a decent average. His on base was not pretty either. But again, we're talking about a catcher. I just think that he goes well with Yan Gomes. He's going to be 31 next year, so he's a little bit younger than Yan Gomes, and I think honestly, with that situation, they'll just play the matchups a lot with those guys if they do in fact sign him, and that'll be fine. It's just like when you lose a guy like Contreras, you know, no matter what position that Contreras would play, you gotta supplement, you gotta find a way to replace that offense. And so if you're letting Contreras walk, then you got to find a way to replace that. And, you know, I've been I wouldn't say loud, but I've been very clear that I'm pretty much okay with the fact that the Cubs are just going to basically let him walk. And I guess if he does go to the Astros, the Cubs would get their second highest draft choice that they have as the comp pick, which is fine, whatever. We've aired our grievances related to that, and everyone understands where we come from on that. But you know, my thing on why I'm okay with it at this point is that the understanding is that the Cubs are going to make changes to make the roster better, right? So yeah, I'm with you, Luke. Like, I hope Vasquez isn't the first one, but if he is, they better make a significant stuff soon after. Because losing a guy like Contreras, whether he's good at being a catcher or not, just depending on how you look at it, like, you're still losing some major offense for that position. So if you're going to lose that offense at that position, you've got to get offense. You got to find offense somewhere else. And obviously this roster has potential. There's potential. There's a lot of guys to like, but there isn't really any proven guys outside of Ian Happ now. You know what I mean? So I just that's been my take on the entire situation for the last couple months, is just, you know, if you're going to let Contreras walk, then you better make significant changes to the roster offensively. That way we're not sitting here and watching Contreras have a decent year with the Astros while Christian Vasquez or whoever isn't, but also your team isn't hitting anyway. So, you know, like, that's the worst possibility in letting Contreras walk for this comp pick. That's the worst possible thing that could happen. And if they do in fact let that happen, I will start to believe that it's more on Jed than it is on Cubs ownership, honestly.
Ryan, you're a former catcher, right?
Like, I am a former catcher, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So all-state bullpen catcher.
Oh, okay, all right. All-state bullpen catcher.
All-state bullpen catcher.
And member of the CHGO softball team. So with those credentials, along with now your baseball writer's card and credentialed media, what do you think of this trend that the Cubs are going with, the more defensive-minded catcher moving forward than a guy that, you know, traditionally, you go way back in baseball, people would have said, like, people would consider Mike Piazza one of the greatest catchers of all time. Now, defensively, he wasn't good, but he was a good hitter. We see that trend shifting, and now the Cubs are trying to do what the Astros are doing, going defensively. Do you like that trend? Do you think it makes sense?
Well, it's weird. Well, first of all, if this trend would have happened like 10 years ago, I would have tried a little harder. I would have practiced a little more, knowing that, because I wasn't a good hitter, but I was a solid defensive catcher. So maybe I would have tried a little harder. But good offensive catching, like, it never really became a thing. Like, Wilson Contreras obviously is a good one, and there have been, you know, Buster Posey is up there. Joe Mauer was a good hitter. But I feel like for the most part, like, catching has always been about the ability defensively and being able to handle a pitching staff. So I don't necessarily think that it ever trended down. It just, like, some catchers became better at hitting. Like, you know, catchers catchers eventually evolve to become better hitters.
Yeah.
Like, you figured it. That's how baseball just works. But I do find it weird that like now teams are just like kind of moving back in the other direction of like, we don't need the good offensive catchers. We just need guys that can handle a pitching staff and play good defense. It is a little weird because so much of like, if you can have, yes, you want at least the 8 good hitters. And if you have 8 good hitters in your lineup, the catcher maybe doesn't make that much of a difference. But why wouldn't you want 9 really good hitters, right? Like, why would you not want a full lineup of guys that can hit the ball that aren't going to be an easy out? Like that's one of the reasons, like maybe why some people prefer the DH over letting the pitcher bat is like, why just have the pitcher go up, be an automatic out? If a catcher's that same way, like again, Martin Maldonado, who's like a great defensive catcher, and luckily he was surrounded in that Astros lineup by a bunch of really good hitters, but he was kind of like an automatic out like this. So why would, in my opinion, it's like, why would you want that? Why would you want someone who they can play great defense, but they can't hit at all? Like it felt like it did feel like we were maybe going in the other direction of like, okay, you could play good defensively, but you want to also be able to hit. But now teams going back the other way. It's, I don't know. It didn't make. I mean, it makes sense, but it's also like I would want a good hitting catcher too. So if they could find the perfect balance of that, then maybe that they don't have to be the in the top 5 of hitters in your lineup, but if they can at least put the ball in play consistently, they get on base at a decent clip, like then maybe that's the best of both worlds for you, because you do want that defensive first catcher, I think.
Well, Vasquez does bring like World Series experience. Like he was on that team in 2018, right? And
so does Maldonado, a guy that they had and basically gave to the Astros. Why didn't they just hang on to him a couple years ago if that's what they wanted?
Well, they had Caratini at the time too. That situation's a lot different in my opinion. He was on the Cubs for like 2 weeks, something like that.
I know.
The organization was much different standpoint at the time. But I don't know. I mean, I'm with you, Ryan. Like they need to have that good balance for a catcher, right? Like you can't just like, as much as I'd love to have a guy like Maldonado back just because of how great of a defensive catcher is, the Astros also just have a loaded lineup where his flaws as a hitter don't really show because they have enough hitters where it doesn't matter. So like for a team like the Cubs now where, you look at the lineup and you're like, okay, Ian Happ, all-star, Seiya Suzuki trending up, Nico Horner looks like a stud, and then, Christopher Morel, you don't know. I mean, after those 3 that I named, like, it's kind of like, well, these guys have some potential, but whatever, like, but not a lot of, you can't bank on a lot of it. And so that's kind of the difference between the Astros and the Cubs clearly right now. And like, so with a guy like Vasquez, who I don't think that he's an awful hitter, but he's not one of the best hitters, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like hopefully down the line, like Ballesteros or, Miguel Amaya can be what Ryan is saying.
Both.
And I think, I do think Amaya has a good chance to be on the major league team next year. I just don't know when and if he can stay on the field.
Yeah, he just has to stay on the field. Like,
right.
And it's not like one. Difficult. It's not like one minor injury that just is like there are multiple different injuries that are affecting that, and that's the problem because within like the last couple of years, a couple of years ago, he was a top 2, top 3 prospect in the system by whatever rankings you use. And he's obviously fallen in most of those rankings. And you're kind of like just sitting here, like you saw Braylon Marquez already get, he's gone. And you don't want to see that happen with Miguel Amaya because he was once hyped up as one of the top prospects in the system. And if he could come up and be a good catcher for this team after you remember there was that report, I think Mark Gonzalez had it like in spring training that Contreras met Amaya with dinner or had dinner with Miguel Amaya, kind of telling him to be ready to be the next guy to step up at catcher. And there was a lot of that a lot of hype or excitement around that because he has kind of been pegged for that for a while and so far has not had the opportunity because injuries have kept him off the field. So you definitely want to see him if he's going to get that chance. You want to see it pretty soon, relatively soon.
I feel like the chat has done a pretty good job of sort of accepting this new philosophy of defensive first catchers and less focus, and the idea almost being like with the DH, you're still giving up one at bat, although a defensive minded catcher is still a better hitter than most pitchers. So you're kind of taking away a little bit of the DH, but you still would have a better hitting lineup than you would if you had pitchers hitting and a good hitting catcher. So, but I just think it's hard to accept for a lot of fans, including me, because when you think about it, when you think of Yan Gomes' best games this past season, you don't think about games that he caught, because that's a harder thing to see. You don't think about David Ross for the defensive job he did catching Lester, and that you think about a home run in the World Series in his last at bat. That's what you remember players for. Like, it's just not a shiny, flashy thing that is easy to quantify unless you're really digging deep into the numbers. And
I was gonna say, that's why, like, when we talk about like him, like Christian Vasquez obviously would not be like the sexiest signing the Cubs could make, because people will be like, who? There'll be some people that are like, who's that?
Right.
And I mean, he may not have any of those moments, right? But he will play good defense for you. He'll probably handle his pitching staff relatively well. And pairing him with Yan Gomes, who has done that already this past season, like, that's so, that's one of those intangible things. Like, maybe the Cubs have, with their IV system, like, have some way to actually quantify and put numbers to that kind of stuff. But from the rest of us, it's kind of just the eye test and how well are they doing, how well are the pitchers doing with those guys behind the plate. You saw it with Yan Gomes this year. If Christian Vasquez can add to it, like, that's just something that you look at, like, okay, like, they're good behind the plate, but you can't really, like you said, you can't really quantify that or put numbers behind it. So you can't, like, oh, this guy did X at framing this year, this guy did X at blocking balls. Like, it's just stuff that you can't, like, think of. So that's or stuff you can't, like, quantify, like you said. So that's why you can't really remember it. None of that is memorable. It's just, it's playing defense. Like, people remember offense in any sport. It's offense, and that's why stuff has always been geared more towards the offense. But those are the guys that do the little dirty work that help teams win ball games.
Yeah, Tom says not shiny or flashy, but highly underrated. I would put this next idea from Evan Altman also in that category. He's talking about a swap of former 2018 top 10 picks, first round picks, right? Nick Madrigal was the White Sox pick at 4. Is that right?
I believe so. Yep.
And then Jared, is it Kalenic?
Yeah.
He was at like 6 or 6, I think. And he's an outfielder that's come up. He's had 2 stints and played a little in 21, played again in 22. Boy, has not hit well. Like, his career batting average is like $168. So that, again, he's one of these. He would be like one of these projects, like one of these Cubs pet projects, right? Like, very rarely do they work out, but I suppose it's possible you could find your diamond in the rough. The idea would be that you already have so many middle infielders. Like, I don't know. Would they rather take McKinstry than that? I don't know. I guess it's gotten good reaction on Twitter. People are like, "Oh, I'm into that move," and I just kind of look at it and go, okay.
Well, the fact that I think what you're doing here is you're basically flipping upside with upside, right? Like, both top 10 picks, Madrigal. He's shown to be good, right? Like, that August,
he's had flashes.
He's had flashes being good, but he can't stay on the field, right? Like, he's just been injury prone. Even with the White Sox, he was injury prone, right? And then, Kalenic, Mariners are on the West Coast. I'm not watching a lot of Mariners baseball. I couldn't tell you. I don't have an opinion, but just based off if you just look at the numbers for both these guys, it's like, you're basically flipping a guy with upside for another guy with upside, because
at a position you need more.
Yes, at a position you need more, and it shows that, if that were to actually happen, then the Cubs better be signing like Correa or Bogarts or someone, because you can move Nico Horner to second base and let them play short, and then you don't have like all these middle infielders on the roster, and then McKinstry actually becomes a little bit more valuable for you because he can play those positions and give a guy a day off or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that Miles, whatever his last name, Mistroni, I keep thinking of pasta. The guy they got from the Rays, like I don't know if he's
Mastrobuoni.
Everyone basically said he's like the another version of McKinstry. So like I don't mind having two of those guys if you can move Madrigal and get a guy for basically this. That's basically the same thing, but at a different position that you actually need. But like again, that's the basis of what that trade is. Like it's not something that's gonna excite me or change the team's outlook, at least in the present. Like it's like everyone would be like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. But to me, if that trade were to happen like within the next couple of days, that would then tell me that the Cubs are definitely going to find a way. Like they will absolutely get a shortstop no matter what. If you're moving Madrigal,
but they're pushing all the pieces in.
Yeah, like that is what that trade would tell me.
But why wouldn't you do that after you sign Correa? I don't, and maybe that is the plan. Maybe that's just a backup plan. I'm just
saying, like that's if that trade were to happen tomorrow or after we finish this podcast, that's me thinking, okay, the Cubs are going all in to go get Correa or Bogarts or Swanson or someone. You know what I mean? Like, and that would be the only excitement that I'd get out of that trade.
Joshua disagrees with me, by the way. He says he remembers Ross for the backpacks and the great defense more than any home run in the World Series. And I mean, that's cool if that's the way you remember him. I just remember him going off on the shoulders, and his last at bat was a home run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he was certainly known for his defense more than he was his bat.
Oh, for sure.
I going back to that trade idea. It's kind of funny because like you see a lot of people, like I looking at Twitter, you kind of saw a bunch of people that are like, yeah, I'm down, do that trade, blah blah blah, and I'm like, you guys realize Nick Madrigal's had a way better MLB career already than Jared Kelenic, and that's kind of funny to say because like the last year and a half of his career has been mired by injuries and like pretty like disappointing production. He's still had a better career than Jared Kelenic has already. Like what he had, Jared Kelenic had a 55 WRC plus last year in 54 games.
Yeah, at least Madrigal's hit 300 in his career.
He's never hit 200.
He never hit 200. He's negative 0.6 F4 in his career. And then even looking defensively, he had a little bit. He was better in 2022. He had he was awful in the outfield defensively in 2021. Like he had negative 16 defensive runs saved in center field last season, 2021 season. He was better this year, but that's not a high bar to pass. So like Nick Madrigal has had a better major league career than Jared Kelenic, and so if you're making that trade, like Cody said, it's just kind of like a change of scenery upside kind of trade. That's all it is, because to me it kind of feels like you're trading down, like you're trading for a guy who's had some success at the big league level for a guy that has not really had any. Has been pretty bad in two separate stints in the big leagues. I guess
it's also coming from the Nick Madrigal stan. So,
well, but I'm saying it's like I think the like willingness to do that trade comes from like Cubs fans being like tired of Nick Madrigal being hurt. Right. I think that's where it comes from, versus like not really looking at what the other side is bringing in that trade.
I think it's just the casuals who think that Nick Madrigal just has no value whatsoever, and
they look at Jared Kelenic, who's like before he got called up in 2021 was a pretty big name and had
the same people that think Stroman sucks. So I mean, whatever.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is like I see that deal and it feels so 2022.
Yeah,
it's just like it's like a roster move that happens and you're just like, okay, whatever. Like I feel a little bit better about Madrigal than that, but at the same time, now they've piled up so many of guys, middle infielders that can play a couple positions. I'm not so sure. Hey, Tailgate coming up this Sunday. Ryan will miss it because he's going to be in San Diego, but we'll be freezing with the rest of the Bears fans out there. Actually, it's not supposed to be that cold, and we throw a party. The official CHGO tailgates at Michigan and Roosevelt We have a huge parking lot there. It's all fenced off. There's parking if you want to add that to it. Otherwise, $46, 46 defense gets you the famous 46 defense, gets you all the food and drink included with your ticket. So that's booze, beer, brats. Green Ridge Farm's going to be hooking us up with the great meat sticks again. Goose Island's going to be there providing IPAs and beers. So it's going to be a good time, and we look forward to it, getting you ready for Bears and Packers. If it's a tank job, it's a tank job, but we can still celebrate a little bit before the game. And Green Ridge Farm is a local meat and cheese company offering you a better all-natural option, makers of the all-natural deli meat, sausages, and their famous meat sticks. They are perfect for tailgating. We've had them out there. Happy hour, school lunches. These all-natural meat sticks are hardwood smoked for 8 hours, 16 grams of protein per stick. They're a perfect post-workout snack. Meat sticks come in chicken, black forest, jalapeno cheddar, and spicy chili. Delicious because they're made from recipes generations in the making, and they're all natural, delivered a fresh, flavorful alternative at snack time. Not a flesh flavor, just a fresh flavor. The other would be disgusting. Delicious. Let me tell you, they're in the refrigeration section at Costco, Sam's Club, and all your Chicagoland grocery stores right now. When you order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com, include a pack of meat sticks. They will be free when you use the code CHGO at checkout. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meat. Last time we were there, I was walking around with, I had a bratwurst in one hand, and I had the jalapeno cheddar in the other. I was ready to go.
How much? What's the weather supposed to be like? You're the weather guy, Luke.
Let me look. Yeah,
it's freezing
man.
today. It has me thinking about, man, this weekend's probably going to be cold too. And now I haven't checked.
Okay, I changed my mind. Sunny and 38 for a high. It'll be cold.
It's still warmer than today. It feels like it's like 15 out there today.
If it's windy, you'll need the long johns. That's for sure. And I will say, if you're coming out, dress warm, because the sun a lot of the time is blocked by big buildings on either sides. You get glimpses of the sun, and people will go to the warm areas if it's real cold. But we get some heaters there. The food will keep you warm. The good times will keep you warm. The spirits will keep you warm.
Yeah.
And speaking of staying warm this winter, by the way, the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in their communities we serve save money and energy. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes. An authorized engineer is going to work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually, and they last about 2 hours. Then within 3 to 4 weeks, customers receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that we'll start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. So don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz. Ready to sign up for a facility assessment? Call us at 1-855-433-2700 during normal business hours to speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative. You can also email businessee@comed.com or request an online assessment on their website, comed.com/facility assessment. Cody, did I hear a dog during that ad read? What's going on over there?
I'm watching
disrespect from the canines during this.
I am currently watching a dog. Her name is Penny. We've watched her many times. She's a very good girl. Right now, she wants some attention, and of course, it's at the absolute worst time. But she did just back up on the couch. You guys want to see a better time?
Is what she wants.
There she is. Yeah, there she is.
Hey, Penny.
Yeah, she's a dachshund. Is that what they're called? Like the wiener dogs?
Wiener dog. Yeah. Dachshund. That's what they're called, right?
Yeah. Anyway, shout out to Jay from Buena Park. He's in Portugal this week, and we're watching his dog.
Yeah, and if he watches the podcast live on YouTube, he can see his dog right now. That's
He could, yeah.
She's as active as the Cubs front office at the moment. She's back there just laying on the ground.
Absolutely.
That was fair. That was a shot, and it was unfair. It was unfair. They're going to be very active next week. Very, very
It's unfair to Penny, yeah.
Yeah. She's a very good girl. She deserves better than that, Luke. Come on, Mel.
I apologize both
Rude.
to Penny and to the Cubs front office.
You don't have to apologize to the Cubs, though.
It was out of character.
As Castellanos hits a home run.
He said, I might not be able to put this headset on again.
That's right. Did you see Javy's 30? El Mago, birthday boy.
Does that make you feel old? Because it sure make me old when I heard that he was like 30 years old today or whatever. Yeah.
I can't believe he's 30.
Yeah.
Like that just seems, I mean, you remember him being just like a kid.
Luke, you asked me to make you a graphic. I didn't. I just found a Google image of a cake that had Javy's name on it. So there's your graphic for you.
You couldn't come up with a happy birthday, El Mago. You just dug up a cake.
Correct.
This wasn't ever thrown in a dumpster outside Wrigley Field.
No, look at that cake's from Roser's Bakery, which is my favorite bakery in the city.
Humboldt Park.
That looks like
families from there.
That cake does look good.
I'm sure it was delicious.
The funny thing is, like when I think about Javier Baez, the first thing that comes to my brain is that play in Pittsburgh last year.
Yeah,
and for some reason, I think everyone knows where they were when they saw that play. Like I was actually covering that game remotely, like from here, last season, and I just remember when that play happened. Here you go, it's coming on the screen. When this play happened, so I'm like, I guess I'm just sitting here, I'm watching, thinking it's an out. All of a sudden, I see Javy doing this, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like getting closer. I'm like, I'm gonna reenact it. I'm like getting closer, and right here is like hands on my head, like what the hell just happened? And then like I was crying laughing at this point. This is the dumbest
Rizzo's
play
reaction
ever.
is my favorite part.
Yeah.
Doesn't Rizzo give like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's like him and Justin Steele right there.
Laughing out loud.
I was crying. By the time he slid into first base, I was already like dying laughing because I'm like, what? This is the stupidest play I've ever seen in my life. How did this just work?
Yeah.
That's just El Mago magic right there.
When I think of Javy Baez, I think of Amir Garrett because I'm a petty motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right?
The home run with the sweeping broom.
Yep.
Yeah. I was actually at that game. The last game I got to see him play as a Cub.
Yeah, so was I.
But yeah, his antics with Amir Garrett is probably my favorite thing about him, and the famous meme of him flipping him off. Good stuff. It's my I was very critical of Javy Baez, especially his last few years. But there was no Cub that we've ever got to watch that was like him in terms of bringing an energy, unmatched when it comes to that. And a personality that like can really gravitate a fan base to make you really like him. And that's why I always laugh when people I'll every time the MLB Twitter account will tweet a video of Javy Baez, you go straight to the comments and everyone's like the most overrated player in baseball or whatever. And it's not that I think that he's overrated. It's more of just like he's just does a lot of fun things, and honestly he's perfect for like growing the game, honestly, like his personality and everything like that. Sure, his numbers aren't as good as like they should be. I mean, he had the almost MVP season, and 2019 was really solid too, but like he definitely is a guy that you can completely understand why like the younger generation like loves him.
Yeah, I mean, like this stuff was fans just eat it up. Like we talked about Wilson, like where he's sweeping the broom. And his personality and his ability to back it up with crazy athletic and intelligent plays sometimes. The Cubs have never had a player like that. There were stretches where he was by far the most exciting. He wasn't the best player in baseball, but he was the most exciting player in baseball. He did things like at the World Baseball Classic where he's putting the tag down and he's not even looking and he's running off as he's tagging the guy with the no-look tag. He had a flair that only Sammy may have matched as a Cub. And Sammy's flair came from hitting 60-plus home runs. Sammy had the flair and the love for the camera, but Javy had an unbelievable flair for a guy that wasn't hitting 66 home runs. He just
had this swag, like he brought it. It was natural to him, and that's why, like Cody said, like the younger generation gravitated so much towards him. Like you look at like the older, like old man yells at the cloud type of generation that probably hated some of the things he did. And some of the, just the emotions that he brought out every single game. But he was a guy who was, he had his struggles offensively and even defensively he did too. But for the most part, he was like a guy that you trusted out there at shortstop. He was electric. He'd make electric plays that not everyone could make. He was flashy, but he kind of, he backed it up a lot. And, he just had that type of excitement that you want to see out of baseball players. Like, you don't want robots out there. You want guys who are really passionate, who are going to give you 100% every time they go out there. He's like Wilson Contreras. Like, Wilson Contreras, maybe less flashy, but as a guy that had a lot of passion and went out there and played his heart out every single play. Javy did that too. And, there was, I think I remember there being like a time where he didn't run out a ground ball and David Ross benched him. I might be misremembering that. And that was a big deal because it was like Javy never does that. Like, Javy never did that. And I don't think he ever did that again. But that's just like the kind of player he was. And that's why people liked him so much. Like, I remember the quote that David Ross had after that play in Pittsburgh saying like, he kind of plays the game like a kid. And that's why people fall in love with him. And that's it. Like, that's the whole thing to me. It's like Javy Baez just plays like he's playing a little league game and he's just better than everyone else.
Well, I mean, here's a guy who made tags and slides highlights on ESPN on a nightly basis, right? Like, he made two things that are about as boring as you get in baseball. The only thing he could have made more exciting that he didn't was like a walk, like he literally took running. He made running to first base, as you saw in that base running play, like the most exciting play of the year. He made slides where he would stop and then reach around and get the base, thrilling. He made thrilling plays at shortstop. So the people that say like he struck out a lot and he was overrated, listen, that's all for you. All I know is he brought great excitement to the Cubs fan base, and he was on the World Series team. Like, just stop with it. That doesn't mean it wasn't time for him to move on. He's one of my all-time favorite Cubs for the flair that he brought, and that's coming from an old guy. You're talking about the old guys who get angry. You didn't do the fundamentals. I did, but I forgave it because nobody thought to stop running down to first base, and it ends up scoring a run, and he ends up at second. Like, he did that too. So like that balances out the times where he was swinging from his shoelaces and would strike out sometimes. Was he frustrating sometimes? Yes. But if you say one word about Javy Baez, it's got to be exciting. It has to be the word exciting. What else could it be?
I would lean to say that when he did walk, it was exciting because it was very rare. All right. You know what I mean? Like, anytime he walked, Cubs Twitter would tweet like the alarm emojis, and would just in all caps, Javy Baez just walked. Like, it was a big deal when he walked, man. Like, I don't know. I said I was critical of him when he was here, but the thing is that he clearly had the talent to be better than what Chris Bryant or any of those other guys ever had. Like, he could have been way better than those guys. And I always just thought if he could just if he wasn't going to walk more, if he could just put the bat on the ball a little bit more and strike out less than 30% of the time, then man, you got yourself your own version of Manny Ramirez. Like, the guy could, when he actually hit the ball, man, like, it was electricity at Wrigley Field or wherever he was playing. And it's just, that was what was frustrating about him to me. That said, there were plenty of clutch moments that he did have. And so, I agree. Like, it did kind of even out. But the last 2 years that he was with the Cubs, it was, especially with the whole contract extension thing, like, I don't know if that weighed on him. And clearly, I don't know. I feel like it didn't at this point, considering how bad of a year he just had with the Tigers. But like, when you have that distraction, but also like you're wanting to get paid like one of the top shortstops in the league, and for him to play like he did, like, out of all the ones that they traded, he's the one that I don't really feel bad about the most. And it's not even because of PCA. It has everything to do with just like, I don't know if he would have aged well with the Cubs.
No, I agreed. All of that stuff. I'm just accepting who he was when he was on the Cubs.
Right.
Like, at that point, it's like, he's not going to turn into the next He's not going to be A-Rod at short or wherever you wanted him to be as the all-time great at shortstop. He's not going to be that, but he's one of the most exciting players in you could say he's one of the most exciting players in Chicago sports history. You could put him up in that. I'm not saying he's the greatest. I'm not saying he's covered in trophies. I'm just saying that he's Devin Hester. You know, people think Devin Hester's a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying Javy's a Hall of Famer, but it was that same type of excitement. When Javy did something, people were talking about it for a week at work. Like, did you see that slide? He made a slide. He stopped completely. Or when he stopped going to first base, like, he did things you're not used to seeing on a baseball field.
Yeah. He has more gifts on Twitter if you just search baseball probably than anyone else. Like,
I'm like looking at the stats right now real quick, and I'm like, I don't remember who won the Gold Glove in 2019. It was not Javy Baez, but he had 31 defensive runs saved and 31 outs above average at shortstop. I'm struggling to figure out. No one beat those numbers, so I'm struggling to figure out how he didn't win the Gold Glove that year. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's his best defensive year by far.
Yeah.
And he didn't win the Gold Glove.
Unfortunately, he led the league in errors last year.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday to El Mago. What a great nickname too, by the way.
Also, happy birthday to Brandon Hughes.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Former outfielder Brandon Hughes, who retweeted us this morning.
He did.
Yes.
Former outfielder, now southpaw with nasty stuff, Brandon Hughes.
Yeah. We tweeted the video of him striking out a bunch of Cardinals. You wouldn't guess who sent that tweet.
Did you see the Padres are going to start wearing the Motorola on their sleeve?
Yeah.
What will the Cubs wear? Do we have any ideas of what the Cubs might wear on their sleeve?
We talked about this, like,
yeah. I mean, we have before, but I think it's coming closer. Like once multiple teams start doing it, it's coming out. It's going to be bigger and bolder than ever. What would you like to see on their sleeve?
Well, I was gonna say, like,
something
as far as like what I could see, like maybe like a Vienna Beef logo on the side.
Yeah, a Wiener Circle logo would be hysterical.
It would.
Yeah.
There's Moreau right there. Wiener Circle.
So funny.
DraftKings. Maybe they put a DraftKings patch on.
Well, that's another good one, and I think that's actually very possible that DraftKings would do that, right?
Oh, all the Michael Colladas would hate it. No offense, Michael, but
yeah. Garrett Johnson says Portillo's, please, and if they're smart, they would do that. Portillo's need
chocolate cake shake or just the logo?
Just the logo.
Just the logo.
Just put the logo on there. You know, we should. I think I said it. I might have actually said it yesterday, but I would not be mad about CHGO being sponsored by Portillo's.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that every day. Let's talk about that at least once a day. Figure out how to, like, you know how Corey and Brendan figure out like how to reference the 2016 World Series.
Yeah,
and their podcast. Like, I'm gonna figure out how to reference Portillo's at every episode from here on out.
I like Do Right Donuts enough that I wouldn't mind seeing the Do Right logo on a sleeve. And that's a lot of money. It's going to cost them a lot of money. It's a lot of donuts they got to sell, but I have somebody right here that would be willing to eat those donuts and help them stay alive. Do Right Donuts.
Yeah.
Possibility. Cody, what do you – go ahead. No,
I was just going to say if we're another good local place would be I lost my I forgot
Walgreens. Everybody goes to
Walgreens, but just the W. Yeah.
It's like a W. It looks like the Nationals. Unfortunately, they stole the logo.
Yeah, right. I forgot what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna cover my face with.
What about
Malnati's? I'm gonna
Malnati's?
cover my face with my Shady Rays. So.
Shady Rays would be a good one.
Yeah, Shady Rays would be a good one. I'm
also
Greenridge
Farms.
Oh, Greenridge Farm. There you go.
You know,
put a meat stick on that arm.
Imagine.
What about Connect, guys? Connect Roasters.
Connect Roasters.
Ooh,
yeah.
Actually, I could see that.
Ian Happ.
Yeah, I could actually see that with the Ian Happ connection.
Yeah,
that could be a thing.
Imagine Christopher Morel with the Shady Rays with DraftKings on the logo as the logo. I mean, that's immaculate vibes, and he's already a vibe, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So
old style. What about old style? Go back to old style and throw an old style on there, or Malort.
Oh man, please don't.
Malort.
No, we don't need that. I don't know. Mike Dub says he needs the podcast sponsored by Portillo's. We're gonna need his Portillo's connections.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he has like those shoes or whatever.
Yeah, the Portillo's Crocs
Instagram like months ago.
The Portillo's
shoes.
Yeah.
Crocs. Portillo's Crocs.
Yeah.
Remember we had that whole conversation about Crocs and like how we all that was based off Mike Dubs with his Portillo's Crocs.
That's right.
But he's got connects.
Obvious Shirts is a good one too. He said,
yeah. What are you betting on now? You got Lipscomb's not playing tonight. Detroit Mercy's off. So what's the gamble play?
Well, last night I had to put my Shady Rays on because I didn't have a great night. I had to block the negative energy out. So today I'm going to take them off because I'm indoors right now. At least the sun's out there, and also it's a new day on DraftKings. Tonight I'm taking Patriots plus 3.5. I'm pinching my nose. And I'm just placing the bet and we're riding with the Patriots at home as 3.5-point dogs against the Bills. I can go in more depth in a second, but also there's the NBA season. I said to take the Bulls money line last night. That was dumb, but like there was a promo. You could just all you had to do is opt in, and you could the first NBA bet you placed, you get your money back if you lost. And I think it was up to $10. So if you put a $10 bet on the Bulls to win last night, you should have a $10 free bet in your DraftKings account right now. And you can use that on hopefully a better something that ends with a better, more of a sweat at least, because that game was awful last night, right? Place on a different NBA game because the NBA season is heating up and there are still so many unknown things. There's you bet on the Bulls season win total to go below to go under at this point, considering how they've looked in certain games. When I'm looking to get in on the action, I bet with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out right now. Everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, total rebounds, and more. The more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. Download the app now. Sign up with code CHGO. Place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code CHGO only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details in the YouTube description or in the podcast description. And again, I'm taking Patriots plus 3.5. We'll be at the Friendsgiving party tonight at the CHGO office. I know I'm hearing there's a big ping pong tournament happening.
Yeah, a lot of trash talking on.
So there's going to be channels. I don't know if DraftKings is going to have their odds on that, but we'll be doing that. We'll be having good time. We'll have lots of food, and I'm going to be sweating the Patriots to lose by less than 4 points. All right, that's what I'm doing tonight. Pats plus 3.5. Belichick as a home dog against a Bills team that barely beat the Lions last week, and they got their secondaries in shambles right now. I can't believe I'm betting on Mac Jones, but I'm doing it on Thursday night football.
It sounds scary.
Better than Lipscomb.
It is scary. Again, I'm plugging my nose, I'm closing my eyes, and placing the bet. And if you don't want to do that, put your Shady Rays on and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was thinking about I'm pretty sure California voted against allowing sports gambling in the state.
So dumb.
So I can't take DraftKings out there, but it's gonna be sunny, and I can take my Shady Rays. There's only one pair of sunglasses that I want to take out there. Those are my Shady Rays. Shady Rays never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades. You see them right here. Featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays, they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You drop them in a lake, off a cliff, anything, they'll replace them. And even with that strong of a protection program, they still manage to make quality that I can tell you holding in my hand seems just as good as any expensive pair that I have ever worn. Shady Rays customers seem to agree with over 200,000 5-star reviews. Shady Rays also provides 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed and have donated over 20 million meals to date. They stand behind their product and told our team that if anyone has a problem, they throw profit out the window and do what it takes to get it right. Free returns and exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. That's it. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. That's buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem that code CHGO only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
Put those back on, Ryan. Let's see them again for the people on YouTube. This is how we want to see Ryan work in the lobby at the San Diego hotel at the winter meetings.
Absolutely.
It'd be so great if you were in like one of our great CHGO merch t-shirts and in the background of everybody's camera shot, just wearing those shades with CHGO.
Yeah.
People be talking about it. Like, who's the guy? Who's the guy with the reflector Shady Rays and the CHGO? What's CHGO? What's with those reflector shades? We got to get it going though, because time is ticking. As we mentioned in the first segment, like time's running out here. Come on, man. It's December now. I put out on Twitter, what will be a poll that just threw it out a little while ago. What's going to be the first move the Cubs make at the winter meetings? Will it be a shortstop? Will it be a pitcher? Will it be combine these all three together, a catcher, center fielder, or first baseman? Or will they do nothing and the first move will be picking up somebody at the Rule 5 draft? I got some pretty funny responses so far, and as you can imagine, they're negative.
I never would have guessed that on Twitter.
No,
Luke.
Mick Medler said to me, it's going to be crickets from Ricketts. That's what.
Oh, wow.
Then he said,
one, dude. Never heard that one before.
Yeah, crickets from Ricketts. Staley Bears on Twitter said, whatever comes cheapest, and it's a picture of Ricketts in a devil costume twirling his tail in the fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
I assume that's Michael Collada on Twitter. I would like him to
it could be
confirm or deny.
I don't know. It looks like
that account replies with that GIF every time.
I don't know that like that'd be a GIF. I don't know if he's young enough for the GIF world. And then somebody has someone off the scrap heap. They have that as an option, and then they have a pile of leaves talking. And then Ryan says Jed and Tom every time some scrub gets DFA'd, and I believe that's Garfield licking his chops in a plate.
First of all, I'm surprised Luke figured out how to put a poll on Twitter.
Thank you.
Congrats, he'll give you a hand.
Thank you. I think
he's done that before. I give him more credit, Ryan.
Thank you.
Making sure.
He still doesn't know how to get in Discord.
Ever since I won the Jordan 1s, I'm way more hip on everything.
He's stocked up. Buy stock now on Luke Stuckmeyer, guys.
Yeah, I honestly voted on the Rule 5 draft. I think that may be the first thing that happens. And I think that's on Thursday. No,
if they finish the winter meetings without making a serious move.
Yeah.
How long? Okay. How long is it again? It's from Sunday to when?
Thursday.
Thursday.
You're saying that's on that's next Thursday, and you think that that first thing they do is going to be that?
Yeah. And Thursday, that's like pretty much generally the only thing that happens. Right. There's like you have lunch with the GM and the manager sometimes, and then there's a Rule 5 draft, and everybody goes home.
If you set the bar low, you can never be disappointed.
That's a great spin zone.
Put that on a shirt.
There you go.
Set the bar low. You'll never be disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Chill.
They say Rule 5 is on Wednesday. So either way, Wednesday, Thursday.
Whatever day it is.
I still don't want to wait another 3 days. You know what I mean?
I just want to
last show of the week. I want to come here on Monday and have something to talk about, bro.
Yeah. First move, shortstop, period. Get it done. Push the domino.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everybody who stopped in to chat Cubs baseball at 1:20 on a Thursday afternoon.
When nothing has been happening.
Again, if there's breaking news prior to the winter meetings, first of all, Corey and Brendan will have a podcast for you tomorrow, but we'll have breaking news and we'll jump in with a podcast live right away if something happens anytime this weekend. Before then, if we're at the tailgate and Ryan's halfway to San Diego and something happens, we'll find a way to get a podcast live on the air, get the chat going. So pass the word that when the Cubs finally do something, we want this chat to be what the kids call lit. Am I right about that?
Lit, yeah.
We want it to be lit. We want it to be a vibe.
Live.
We want it to be live also.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. Until then, thanks to everybody for hitting the like button. If you haven't done that, do that. And thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you fly the W.